Propel Fitness Water. With Gatorade electrolytes, zero sugar, and vitamins, Propel hydrates better than water to help you get the most out of your workout and get back to your best self. What propels you? Propel with Gatorade electrolytes.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach, a trip to the state fair, and a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
Coach Unplugged is brought to you by great people over at teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. Here is your host, Steve Collins.
Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday, episode 534, I think, 534 of Coach Unplugged. Today, we're going to talk with Rich and Ruthie about basketball and coaching and those great things. But before we do that, I'd like to give a big shout out to our two sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish. Go over the most innovative shooting machine and workout machine on the market. Mention Coach Unplugged. They'll give you $350 off your next purchase. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. If you love this podcast, if you want me to be able to take my wife out to dinner, if you want these to keep coming out week after week after week, a way you can give back is join teachhoops.com. 14-day free trial as we speak. And it's my little baby. Go over and check it out. Let's head off to the podcast.
I have a great interview with Ray today from Positive Coaching Alliance. It's great. I think it puts everything in perspective as far as coaching goes. He's a former high school coach, has a huge career coaching, and now he's trying to make a difference.
First of all, a lot of you probably already know Ruthie. She's a two-time Olympic gold medalist. She had some great observations and things for young players and young coaches. She's in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. You know, how often I feel privileged to have talked to her. And then Rich Walton, who is the founder of Skill Development Coach, we'll talk about in a second. But, you know, his experience, he's coached and trained players at just about every level. You know, some of his concepts and ideas are revolutionary. So I'm super excited for that. I am a big fan of what Rich and Ruthie are on. They're the first people that I've had on my website to kind of run a basketball-related business. And that's how much I believe, you know, in the Skill Development Coach website. I'm going to put the links down on the bottom. You should go check it out. You know, it's the periodic table. It basically is everything you need as a trainer or as a player, things that you need to work on. You know, it basically gives you an overview. It customizes assignments. It sends you workouts. You know, it will let you customize things for your specific young teams. It's great. I mean, you should go check it out. So go down, look, check it out. And wow, this is a double one. So I haven't done one of these. Here's Richie and Ruth. I'm going to turn it over to them. If I even started to summarize their resumes, it would take me like an hour and a half. I think it's crazy when I started going through it. So I'm going to throw it over to them. Either one of them can go, and they're going to kind of go through their basketball journey, kind of how they got themselves here, and then we'll go from there.
Well, ladies first.
Hey, Rich, you go.
No, Ruthie.
You want me to go?
Ruthie, I know. I mean, even though we played one-on-one last time, and you know I got the best of you, I'm still gonna let you go first.
I would love to see that on YouTube. If you have that, I would love to see that.
Exactly. Oh, his assistant camera wasn't working coincidentally, so they couldn't record it. Okay, well, I'm gonna just give you sort of a synopsis of my life. I've been fortunate to play the game that I love so much for 25 years, including, you know, when I was in middle school on up to high school, college, and the pros, and basketball has taken me across the country, and I've just been blessed. But when I talk about my journey of basketball, it's like one of the reasons why I like to share this story is because it sort of explains my passion for the game. But I grew up in a family of 20 in Mississippi, and so we played a lot. I was a tomboy, played outside, and And I remember trying to get over this fence, trying to jump this fence, and it was tough for me to jump this particular fence. And I just kept pushing, and kept trying. I kept trying, and I had fear of doing it. And and so it took me like another day. I didn't try it to the next day, but I was so determined to get over that fence. And I think I was like maybe 12 years old. And it was, I said, I'm going to do it no matter what. And I finally did it. And to me, I felt on top of the world. I felt so accomplished. I felt like, I just believed that was the day, when I was 12 or 13, that was the day I started becoming an Olympian, because the Camels wasn't there, the NC2A wasn't there, the ESPN wasn't there, the Olympic Committee, the Hall of Fame Committee. But I did have that inner drive and that fight and be determined to do it. And I think it set me up for all the challenges that I would have in pursuing my basketball career, because I was told no, I was rejected, but I had to go the hard route. But I ended up going to Auburn University to play, and I had 4 pretty good years there, but weren't quite satisfied because we lost the championship to Tennessee and Louisiana Tech. And so just kept working hard and went to try for the national team and made it and started playing overseas. So, but even at the national team, even after I finished college, after I finished college, I wanted to play for the national team, and I had to pay my own way to go, and the odds were so against me because 175 girls and 25 spots, and a lot of people said, "Oh, don't go," but I wanted to continue to play. So my dad said, "You know what?" He said, "Life is 10% of what happens to you, and 9% how you respond to it." So I took his guidance, and I went and defied the odds and ended up playing for the national team, and I made the team, and so the rest of history. I'm like, there's more of the details, but really my journey was a lot of just perseverance and determination, and that's why I like to sort of share that story, that fence story, because I feel like that was that was my platform. That's what pivot. That was sort of the moment that changed my life forever. And so I talk about sometimes in life it's not always where you're going, but it's how you get there. And my journey of how I got there was tough, but it was okay, because it made me a better person and then when I look back in hindsight, to be able to have, represent our country in 11 different national teams, and so it's an honor to be able to, I don't know, to still sort of teach the game now. And when I do basketball training or I go and speak, it's about not so much that I was a basketball player, but it's like I was someone that was told no and could have quit, but I kept persevering. So my story is bigger than basketball. When I go and I travel the world speaking and doing things for U.S. Embassy, and I go do clinics, and I'm not just teaching about basketball skills. It's about sort of how you persevere in the midst of adversity. And so that's really what I want my message to resonate. When I'm with, with students and kids, because I want them to know that they can persevere also. So
I think that's a great story. That's like, I think a lot of our kids now have lost that. First of all, they're not playing outside anymore. I don't know. You and I grew up playing outside. But that perseverance, that fighting through, Rich and I were talking about before we started that I'm a teacher, and you kind of see it sometimes when they hit a wall, they just stop. And that perseverance about you wanting to jump over that fence is, I think, something that we need to do a better job teaching our youth a lot on a regular basis. All right, so go ahead. She and I'm going to just go on the record. She did about 2% of her resume, which is crazy. It's exciting to have an Olympian and for her story to be about perseverance rather than the gold medals is an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, Ruthie's incredible. I think the world of Ruthie, and she knows that. And she left out probably 90% of the real adversity and the real challenges. And I'm always impressed at the stories that the fact that like her story is, a lot of her story starts with her taking a bus.
Right.
Right, Ruthie?
I didn't want to bore him with that, boy.
No, I love that part. Like the fact nobody rolled the red carpet out for Ruthie. Now they do. But the fact that she wasn't born an Olympic champion, she pushed herself and she had that just perseverance. And I love spending time with her. And the fact that, like, the fact that, like, the basketball in general has brought the three of us together who never would have, connected in real life. And the fact that we're here today, and my story's, similar to Ruthie's in the way that, might not have been jumping over a fence or playing in the Olympics, but I did find the game of basketball when I was about 12. And that's what I tell parents too, and coaches, and a lot of parents get hung up on, I got to get my 4-year-old into this elite program. And it's like, athletes are athletes. Multi-sport athletes are always the best athletes. And I played a number of sports, but I love the game of basketball. And I found this unique thing, and I didn't realize, it didn't really dawn on me until later in my life, but I feel that basketball is the one game, the one sport that's a team sport, that is the only sport where you really don't need anyone else to get really good. It's hard to play football by yourself. It's hard to play baseball by yourself. Whatever other sports there are. I mean, you can pick out other sports and pick different skill sets. You could throw a lacrosse ball off a wall for, 5 hours. But basketball is this one game where it really just comes down to a boy, a ball, and a dream. And that's what it's always been for me. And as I just got into playing and injuries took hold, and I never really got to pursue the game on the athletic side in college as much as I would have or should have or would have liked to. My knees were pretty bad by the time I got to college, but I still just stayed close to the game. And I just decided that, I wanted to work with kids. I was a teacher like yourself. And, when I started working with kids, I started to realize, like, it wasn't so much about, you got to work hard, you got to get better, that's a big part of who you have to be as a person. You have to persevere, you have to be tough, you have to be mentally strong to make it through, especially in sports. But a lot of times kids just don't know what to do. Like, they just don't know what to do, and they're out there doing stuff, and they're playing games, they're playing on several teams.
Yeah.
They're doing it.
Yes.
It's just what they're doing. You're a middle school kid and you play 78 games between October and March, and you see the kid in April, and they're still travel when they catch the ball.
You're right. And you know what I think, and we'll get to your website in a second, but what I think is that we've left the Europeans have passed us in that they're working on skill sets and they're not working on the individual. It's like telling a kid he's got to take a final exam, take your ACT, but don't take algebra class, kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
We've got it backwards right now. And I think USA basketball is trying. They're doing a really good job of trying, but it's going to be an uphill battle for the next 20 years, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else?
Well,
Go ahead, Ruthie.
say it again.
Go ahead. You had something to say about USA basketball. You're probably connected there.
Oh yeah. USA basketball has been. To me, I miss it so much. It's been like a huge part of my whole life, and I have some great stories. Like I said, with me almost missing that. With me almost missing that part of, if I think about if I hadn't paid my way to go to the trials, when I felt like I should have been invited, most people, I would have missed out on so much. And so all of my experiences, the travel, I feel like I got developed through my coaches that helped me with USA basketball, because I was just telling someone yesterday that I actually got better after college. Believe it or not, I got so much better after college when I started playing for USA team, because I was so thrilled and so excited to be at that level. It's like, wow, it's like I just sort of, but it was rewarding to me because I knew I had to work hard. So now when I share my story with kids, I say, you can see the gold medals, you can hear about the Hall of Fame. I said, I have to take you down memory lane because it wasn't easy for me. And and so I go back and talk to a lot of athletes that come into USA basketball and tell them that, the fact that you're here, you're good, but what's going to make you great is taking advantage of this opportunity and trying to go to the next level. So, but it's been just beautiful, and I stay in contact with him, and every opportunity I get to go back to Colorado Springs, I go, because it is just something about that atmosphere that's so enriching.
Right, and they're trying to get out to the youth. I know they're trying to get more teaching going on at this point, which I think is a great thing. Anything else, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how candid you want to get. I guess whatever you want to talk about, I'm open to talking.
Okay, all right. So I got some questions. If you don't have anything more historically, that kind of got you where we're sitting today.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna change up a little bit, because usually I'm talking to specific coaches. So I'm gonna change up for you two a little bit, just because of kind of where you are. But if there are 3 skill sets that kids need to work on, or individual players need to practice, what would they be? If you could only pick 3 things to work on. 3. You got to pick 3.
All right, I'm gonna start with the most basic. Okay.
Okay.
Not dribbling loose balls.
All right, I like that.
Okay. Not catching passes with one hand.
You can only pick 3 though.
All right,
so
all right,
is that 2?
We'll consider that 1, right?
Okay.
That 1. All right. So being able to finish with either foot off either hand on either side of the basket, I believe in that. Even though there's other theories of thought, I could go in a bunch of different directions with that. But I think as youth players, I'm thinking about like youth, youth development. And then inside pivot, I'm a big guy on inside pivot. And I know there's permanent, there's certain theories out there that are permanent pivot, and there's theories on permanent finishing hands. Like even the NBA is a lot of dominant hand finishing. Right hand players, right hand finishing. They don't miss the left, and some coaches got to make the left-handed layup, and do a 3-man weave with a high school team that hasn't practiced in December 1st, say their first day of practice. You do a 3-man weave and you say you got to make left-handed layups. The chances are they're going to miss more than half of them. But if you say, okay, you can't make left-handed layups, you can only make dominant hand, they're going to make 18 out of 20. So I could see where the high school coach or the college coach says, all right, guys, you don't know how to do it, so let's just make the layup.
Right, and we don't have time to teach it.
Yeah, we don't have time to teach you. We just need you to make the layup.
Right.
My thing is more development purpose, is improving the skill set so the high school coach actually has something to work with. So I would say finishing off either hand, off either side of the basket, inside pivot, and we'll stick with not dribbling loose balls, I guess, is my point.
Okay. All right, what about you, Ruthie?
Well, I don't know if this will be considered. I would say for us the skills, I was gonna say a couple things, maybe not 3, but I want to say that for as the actual skills, I think to me the game is really simple. And I know he mentioned about the 3-man weave. We used to do at Olympians. Now we would do that drill at the beginning of every practice. We knew that was like standard. That was a drill we did to warm up, because it involved running and involved passing, and then it involved defense. But we did that drill, and I'm telling you, we had to do it 2 minutes, and we couldn't miss layups. Okay, we had to do it 2 minutes. We couldn't make bad passes. We had to do it 2 minutes, and we had to make so many shots. And to me, it's a simple thing, but it's like, you know what? If we start our practice, and we've had to run a lot in the beginning. She said, now, I'll let y'all do that drill for 5 minutes. And I didn't say anything. We had 15 missed layups. We had 10 bad passes. We're practicing for perfection. So if you make it a habit of just going through the motions and warm up, to me, that's not really seizing the moment. So I think that one of the most important things to me is focus and simplifying it. But the simple thing is not letting it, it's focusing on the simple things. Like, and sometimes it was hard. In the beginning, we had to run a lot because we couldn't do it 2 minutes without a bad pass. And so I think if you focus on that, that's, to me, and if you spend 30 minutes on it, I don't care. To me, that is going to be huge, because now you're working on detail. So you know what? It's important for me not to turn the ball over when I don't have defense in a 3-man weave pass. So that's important, and finishing is important. I've been at events and training, and kids can do all this top, between the legs, behind the back, over, and they miss a layup. To me, that drill, if you can do a nice presentation, but if you ain't finishing, it means nothing.
Right.
And to me, I think, and I'll tell kids, I know you dribble. That's what time to dribble have to take you somewhere. And so I don't like dancing with the ball. It's like you do what you need to do, but the thing is that finishing, and I'm huge on that. If we do a drill, because I work with a couple of kids now, then I say, hey, you know what? I don't think you can do. We might have obviously ball handling between legs, whatever. I said, but you don't finish. That meant nothing. So I'm real big on finishing. And then another one is when I got a group of kids, is competing. Everything we do, there's competition. I don't care if it can be shooting drill, because I think what happens to a lot of kids is that their mindset in practice is different in the game, and it has to be the same. So what do you think about when you say, I ain't think about nothing? No, wrong answer. You have to put pressure on yourself in practice in order for it to be the same in the game, and that's why you can practice good and not play. So I'm real big on making everything competitive. And so it just teaches you to be mentally tough. So those are may not be the actual skills you were looking for, but those are things
I wasn't looking for anything. Those are perfect. And when we come back and talk about your website, I think that's one of the perfect aspects. Again, I've only delved into it for about 45 minutes, but a lot of it is time, competition. It's not only competition against other players, it's competition against yourself. So we'll come back and talk about that. Yeah, I agree. And this is me going on my soapbox here, but kids over dribble. They want to and one. How often do you see all those shaky moves that they watch on YouTube in a real game?
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. Good. They do it in like the open gym. I go, there's not a game in the world that you're ever going to do that move unless you're, Wesley Matthews or something like one of my guys. It's like, otherwise you're never going to do that unless someone's paying you millions and millions of dollars. So stop it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. So this one's to both of you. If you could go back to yourself either as a younger coach or a younger player, what would you tell yourself? You could just tell yourself one thing.
These are tough questions, man.
Thank you.
These are good. Good job. Ruthie, you got to take this one.
And I haven't answered this one for me, but if I'd go back and tell myself as a younger coach, I'd say calm down.
That's a good one. Because you know what, Steve, when I saw a nice, awesome picture of you with the blue shirt on and the green tie, and you were totally flipping out. And I'm I really like this guy. And it was not flipping out in a bad way. It was passion. It was intensity. I'm like, I can't wait to talk to this guy. You just caught up
better with age.
I've
gotten better with age. I've calmed, if you can believe that. But
yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ruthie, are you going on this one? What would you tell yourself? What would you tell yourself?
During my playing time or the time I've coached?
Either one. Pick one.
Well, I tell you, if I had to go back and tell myself, what would I tell myself? I would tell myself that the passion that you had, and this is a positive, but that I appreciate it. It's like if I was talking to myself, Ruthie, great passion. That's something that I'm saying. I've made a lot of mistakes, but my passion, I've never went to the court and I always gave 100%. And when I played with passion. And that's why my teammates gave me Mighty Ruthie. I didn't give myself that name. They did because I made people around me better, and I was always a team player. So that I appreciate. That I can talk with confidence that I gave that when I played the game. Did I make all my shots? No, I made a lot of mistakes, but I played with passion, and I played, and I was a great teammate. And even when I coached, I didn't. When I coached, I gave 100%. But I would say if I had to make a correction, it was like not to assume that, and I sort of corrected myself. But sometimes you get, I work with field grade boys, and you think that they should know. I'm talking about, I kept it. I said, you know what? Keep it basic, keep it simple, and don't assume. Like coach the kids like they almost like initially like they don't hardly know anything, and then just build off from that. So I think at times when I've coached, I've expected, because I've expected too much, and so I lower my expectations, not in a negative way, but in a way that we can grow together. And so I think that expectations for the players is very important. So you know what, we're gonna do this together. John Wooden said he taught his boys his guys how to play, how they shoot. So I think that you just assume that they don't know anything, and you really impatient, and to continue to have more patience.
Yeah, it's like the keep it simple, stupid. The KISS method.
It
Just
really
keep it simple. Yeah. We all want to show everything we know, and especially in the coaching aspect. And it's a simple, like you said earlier, it's simple game.
I want to say something about that, and I've watched a lot of coaches, and I've had a lot of parents come to me. They all, my player is playing for this coach. I wish coaches would stop trying to do drills or trying to do stuff that looks so educated. I'm like, if especially with a team, it's like, why am I going to show them the Princeton if it doesn't fit the personnel of my team? And it's like, because I can look like I know what I'm doing, but it's like you got to do things that the players that can relate to, or you have to build up. Don't just throw so much at them to where they just don't know where they coming or going. I think but like if I'm teaching, I'm not trying to show you how much I know. I want you to get it. I don't care how simple it is. If you can get one message today, I'd rather you get that one and it resonates than to get 10 because look, I think I know a lot. So I'm real big on clarification and simplicity and making sure that kid or that player can get it, because I'm in the business of making them better. If doing this is not going to make you better, to me, it's wasting your time and mine. I want you to get better because I sincerely want the kids to succeed. So a lot of coaches, I think, want to throw a lot of stuff. They want to try to throw a lot of stuff on the kids and make them seem like they're so educated. To me, I don't like that.
Right, I agree.
You got it, Ruthie. I like that.
What about you?
I love listening to Ruthie. I guess two things I would think of. One, I think this generation of players, if I was, myself talking to a 12-year-old me, the technicalities in the video and the things that we have now, it used to be like watch Michael Jordan play and then hope that they did a rerun when he made the shot and then see if you can remember that and then go out in the driveway. I think there's technicalities that are a lot more specific about the game today that kids have access to. And then the thing about the coaching is definitely, never to confuse passion with emotion. And
I like that.
And just to step back and recognize, like, kids always respond, I believe, better. I mean, not always. It's you're like Ruthie was saying, like, who you're dealing with is your kids, but it helps kids when you're more calm. Like when, there's a time to get them excited, but generally kids need to be brought down more and slowed down more, especially teenage boys. They all want to go 100 miles an hour. Most teenage boys, you got to slow them down.
You do. And I think people underestimate that, I'm married to a psychologist, but I think a big part of this is a mental part of the game. I do. I think a lot of the reasons we've won and been successful is, you got to read, no matter whether you're working, you have to read there. It's a fragile ecosystem, a team, an individual.
And it's that 1 second, it's like when the kid catches the top of the key and then 99% of kids are dribbling the ball and they're trying to go somewhere right away.
Right.
And then it's that team that has 5 guys who catch the ball, square up, and look, and then something and that's the space where the game takes place, where the screen gets set, where the back slip, where movement, spacing, timing, all those things kind of sort of happen in that space, and that's the hardest thing to get kids to understand.
Hey, Coach, hope you're enjoying the podcast. A couple things that doesn't cost you a cent to do. You can subscribe and leave a written review. We really like that. You can go over to our YouTube channel. Just type in Teach Hoops on YouTube, and you'll find our YouTube channel. Subscribe, there, so you'll always get the updates. Next thing is, if you do any shopping on Amazon, go down below, click our Amazon link, www.teachhoops.com/Amazon. Anytime you're doing shopping on Amazon, we get a small little commission. Helps us with our hosting fees. Be surprised how expensive it is to run one of these. And if you really love this stuff, let me help you. Let me mentor you. Let me email. Let me get on one-on-one calls. Let me show you all the resources that will help me become one of the winningest coaches in the state of Wisconsin. That's why I'm doing this. I want to help coaches become better. So teachhoops.com can do that. All right, let's head off to the podcast.
Because they all want to catch it and go. They all want to just do something with the ball. And it's like, I can't remember the last time somebody got called for 5 seconds holding the ball in the half court. Like, slow. Good offensive players play slow, like slow down.
I always do that like the first week of practice. I show them it's not 5 seconds. It's 4 seconds, and then you're going to dribble it. Another 4 seconds, and then you're going to pick it up, and then it's 5 seconds. Well, that's a lot of seconds, people. But if you dribble it right away, you lose all that.
Right. You lose it all.
All right, so let's go on to the next one. So if you could talk to one coach or one player for an hour, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Wow. Go ahead, Ruthie. Ladies first.
If I could talk to one coach
or player,
a coach that I've had the opportunity to play for, and I love, I'm gonna have to say Tara Vanderveer. Like she was a coach that really taught me the game, and she was a coach that made me believe that I feel like she gave me wings to fly, and she was so, like, she challenged me, she held me accountable, but she still, she tore me down, but she built me up, and one of the greatest compliments that I've ever gotten is that when we were right before they named the Olympic team, we was in training, and she had all of us, together, and she said, Dawn Staley, you're on the team because of your leadership, Lisa Leslie because of your rebound ability, Nikki McCray your defense, and Teresa Edwards your experience, and blah blah blah. She went around the room. When she got to me, she said, I'm just not gonna leave the country without Ruthie. I told the selection committee I'm not leaving the country without her. I can trust her in my foxhole. And so my teammates they still laugh at me today. Oh, you was her pet, you her favorite. But it's like that's the biggest compliment, because she could trust me whether I played 30 minutes or whether I played 5 minutes. And to me, that coach, she really, really just taught me so much. And even during the playoffs, I said, I can't expect, they were down by 18 and came back and won. And I texted her, I said, these people don't know who you are. Have they read your bio? Do they know your history? Like, they can't take it light on you. You never give up. Like, you one of the most persevering coach and stuff. So it's just her knowledge of the game and how she's such a great teacher, and she's really good at dissecting other teams. So that would be my coach, Tara Vanderveer from Stanford. And a player, wow, there's a lot of players out there I would love to talk to, man. It's a lot. But I think, if I'm going to go, I think I'm gonna take a shot. I'm going to go with a female right now, because I'm gonna give the female the props. But actually, the player that I would talk to, and I know she's young and she's in college, it's the little guard from Mississippi, Morgan Williams. and I don't know if y'all saw that last shot she took.
Oh, that's crazy.
And when they beat Connecticut, I actually talked to the team the night before, because being from Mississippi, I actually reached out to the coach. I said I would love to come in and share with the players. So I went and talked to him and stuff. But there is something, like, so she don't even know how good she can be. She's so humble. Like, what she's doing now is just solely on to me, she's going to be an awesome player in the WNBA one day, because she's humble, and she's still not, like, she don't have a cockiness yet. I'm like, she's confident, but she still got a lot of growing to do, and I love it. Like, she just have that quietness, that quiet confidence and stuff. So, and so anyway, that's a player that I would love to sit around and talk. Because one, I just want to remind her that, you know what, the sky's the limit for you, and I want to see her soar. So I want to be able to just see her just represent, because she has an amazing story. She's been through a lot, and it just, to me, it's inspirational to see a player like that has such a great story, but has so many qualities as a basketball player. And so those would be my two picks. There's a lot more, but if you just name
it's hard to pick. All right, your turn, Rich.
I would say coaching, it would probably have to be Wooden. I'm a big Thibodeau fan. I like him. I like Beeline. I like a lot of the guys who have, like, invented or come up with something, or they've looked at the game differently. And they've kind of made it their own way. I mean, there's two ways to make it in I guess in college. Like, you can ride somebody's coattails, or, so to speak, and be part of there as an assistant, or you could do like what someone like Beeline did, who went from community college to Division II, Division III, Division I.
Right.
Invented an offense like, highest efficiency in the game, and just has that two-guard offense, which is just remarkable. So I just appreciate anybody who kind of takes the game and comes up with something really unique.
Yeah, it's like our former coach at Wisconsin, Bo Ryan, who came up with the swing. It was a variation of the flex, and it got him a long way. It got him a long way. Yeah.
And then the next year, everybody's like, how do they do that?
Right.
we got to learn it, which is cool. Like,
right.
You pave your own way, and that's what's really cool about the game. Is as a coach, I guess you can always come up with systems. Like, if you got to shut a dominant player down. I remember running a 1-1-3 full court, and just like it was like, all right, the first pass, we're just gonna then face guard. We're gonna let him get the ball in the backcourt, throw it to somebody else, and then we're not gonna let him get it back.
Right.
Stuff that like you have to concoct if you
right.
don't.
You have to have a chance to even be in the game. Yeah,
to even have a chance in the game. So. Anyways, I'm going on different stuff, but players, I don't know. I met some great ones, and I met Ruthie, and Ruthie's such an awesome person. And, I got to meet Isaiah Thomas recently, and hopefully the three of us can get together. But I'd have to say, like, Michael Jordan. I mean, he's the greatest of all time, and I'd love to meet him. But anyways, those are my picks.
Yeah, and Michael is a good businessman, too, because he's cashing checks still,
Yeah, I'm sure he made it.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back. Let's go talk about your website. I think the three of us could talk forever. I got through 3 of my 14 questions, but that's okay. So let's go talk about your website. So one of you grab it, talk about it a little bit, and then I'll jump in because I got a bunch of questions about it.
Go ahead. Yep. All right, so I'll just give you a quick rundown. It goes back to what I was saying before about playing as a kid and loving the game, loving to play, just like we all do, and not really knowing like what to do. You kind of just have to figure it out on your own and play a bunch of pickup games and practice, but you don't necessarily know how to practice or what to practice. And a lot of dead time is spent in the gym shooting around, and you could see this today, even with kids who they develop muscle memory, they develop habits. A lot of kids have guns now. Like I didn't have the gun, I missed that whole era of the gun. So
I'm going to interrupt you for a second. The funny thing about the gun is, and I tell my son this, I have a freshman son, and he can shoot the ball, but he's slow as molasses in January.
Right.
So I say, hey, that's great. You're a shooter. You're not a scorer. That's the difference. Anybody can become a shooter, but how often do you get open, like off the gun?
Yeah, right.
With no one around you that you haven't had to do something.
It takes a long time to shoot. Yeah, so game shots and just game moves and so and then I got into training players, and I realized they didn't really know what they were doing either, and I was the guy who was supposed to be like working with them and helping them. And as a result, you look back at the beginning workouts where you're working with kids and you think you know what you're doing and you prepare, and then you realize that these kids have flaws and they have limitations when you first start with them. And then you got to devise a plan. You got to devise a plan for that kid. You can't do the same thing all the time, and you want the kid to get better, and you want them to week to week feel good about their progress. And it's very easy to look at a player and say, well, they don't do this well, they don't do that well, but to celebrate their success as they're improving and to make them want to continue to grow and love the game. And you have to see improvement for that. And so, what gets better is the trainer gets better, right? The coach gets better, and you get better at teaching, and that's helpful to the kid. But also when it comes to basketball and player development is, the biggest part of the battle is what the kid does on their own time. So, we do what we all did, and that was, create DVDs and create PDFs and create workout checklists and do all that stuff. And they end up in a book bag. They end up underneath their bed. They end up doing them for a day or two. And some kids are religious about them and some kids are not. And it's all pencil and paper and checklists. And the thing was, well, I needed a way to be able to isolate and streamline the player development programming that was going to work for my kids, that was going to be able to customize and assign them, and then they could get them on their phones, and then say, hey, all right, here's your workout.
Go do it.
I'll see you next Tuesday, but this is the 2-ball inside out crossover, spin moves in the lane, and whatever the skill set was that we needed to work on with that particular kid, whether it was shooting, finishing, ball handling, there are certain things in the game that you just need to have if you're going to be really good, and a lot of kids don't have them. So we got to give these kids better programming when they're not in the gym with their coach, and so that's kind of where the whole concept of skill development coach devised itself out of, was like, all right, how can I, and this is like the biggest problems that all coaches have, is during the season, the biggest challenge all coaches have during the season is how to get players reps and actually improve the skill sets of the players during the year. Like, you got to improve your team offense, you got to improve your team defense, your plays, your inbounds, your zones. You got to do all that so you don't look stupid when you get out on the floor and the team jumps you with a 1-2-2 and you just, you turn the ball over.
Right.
You got to work on all the strategic side of the game, but how can we ensure that kids are actually developing during the course of a practice, during the course of a season? So that was one thing, how I can get more skill-based, repetition-based practice inside of a team setting of 12, 15, 18 kids.
And that's really hard. I'm telling you, if someone's coached 30 years, it's I consciously have to say to myself, I'm going to take 15, 20 minutes and we're going to work on shooting and we're going to work on moves. If I don't do that, or we're going to work.
Do 24 minutes of finishing. Here's 6 baskets, breakdowns, 4 minutes apiece, and we're going to rotate and get – and it's just getting that the repetition inside of a team practice, which is tough. And then the other part of it was then being able to, not knowing what my players were doing between March, April, to October. So you could tell them to work hard, practice, but you're limited with how often you see them, and you're limited with your individual workouts. In most states in the high school level, you can't even be in the gym with the kids in some states. And then, some states you can be with them all year. But to be able to have a custom program for the kids, and then the last thing was to be able to isolate what they specifically need to work on and just kind of shoot it out to them every day or every week and give them an accountability measure so that they have a clarity right on their, so they know what to practice when, that's what it all came out of, identifying those 3 weaknesses or those 3 biggest challenges that we all face as coaches is not finding time for reps in the season, and then being able to provide players with more adequate instructional materials that they could engage with in terms of video assessments, trying to beat the ball handling assessments. And, you can that's what I really drove me, was how can I get these kids better? Well, they got to be doing the right stuff when they're not with me, because I know what they're doing with me, but they got to be able to, the other 6 days, that's the key. I think that's where the most development's going to take place.
Well,
go ahead, Ruthie.
Rich, I want to interject. That's what really impressed me. I've been to a lot of camps and I've seen a lot of coaches do stuff, and I just really was impressed with the skills development, like the progress, for kids in the level, for beginners, for intermediate and advanced. To me, that was the drills was simple, but they progressed really well. And I think, to me, I was very impressed. And not only it was great, it gave you drills to do, but it also showed you, so it demonstrated. So I just thought it was just really awesome. And so that's what really just got me just like, man, this is good stuff. I'm like, this is very useful because, I train, but I'm also, I travel a lot and stuff too. But I just thought that it was a great tool for athletes that really want to get better. It was a great tool for coaches that want their players to succeed and just needed that extra, tool to help them, like I said, outside of practice. So I think, to me, it was it's awesome. And I just, I really love Rich passion and his really commitment. He's just always working 24/7, trying to really, find something to make these kids make their experience better. So I appreciate that with him. And I love having a teammate like that. So Rich, you can always be my teammate. Just make sure you pass me the ball.
Well, I don't know, Ruthie. Should I tell her about? Tell Steve about your trip to New York?
Go ahead.
So Ruthie, and just to go back over our story together and how, and I told Ruthie this. I grew up watching Ruthie. Now I look a lot older than she does, but I'm still a few years younger. So I watched her when she and her big smile in the '96 Olympics in Atlanta.
Oh God! Oh, you got the Jerry curl. Oh my goodness!
Big smile.
I actually remember that.
So and this was 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, '96, right, Ruthie?
Yeah.
96? All right. So I finally get to connect with Ruthie. We become pals. So she was meeting with a publicist out here. So I said, all right, I'll drive you to New York to meet with your publicist, because she was staying in Connecticut for a couple days. So we got to hang out. We got to catch up. We got to be in the gym. We got to do photos. So I take her to New York, and wouldn't you know it, she's got to meet her publicist. We pull out, and my car is getting towed.
Welcome to New York.
So my car is getting towed, and you got me and you got an Olympic champion running down the street trying to chase my car. And then we get there. I'm like, Ruthie, I got to get you to where you're supposed to be by like 2:00 or whatever. And then the ATM was broke remember that at the station, Ruthie? And Ruthie took out her gold. She had her gold medals, and she pulled out her ATM, she pulled out some money, and she's like, I'm going to bail you out this one time. So after my car was impounded, I can say that I got bailed out by an Olympic champion. Right, Ruthie? That was our first.
Yeah, that's so. That was an easy assist, man. I gave you assist for just, that's just a nice little flair.
You can't make a story like that up. So let's go back to the site. So I want to know, first of all, like I said, I'm just going to give a disclaimer. Rich sent it to me this afternoon. That's about how far ahead I am on my podcast. And I was in a Noodles, which is like a restaurant.
Yeah.
While my daughter's doing something, just kind of going through my first look at this. So tell me how you came up with a periodic table. So for people that are listening, it's a periodic table, and it's broken up. Everyone knows what a periodic table looks like, but it's broken up into like ball handling, breakdown moves, finishing, shooting, and then it's broken up into that table. And then when you click on each little box, everybody remembers their periodic table. You get a different color, which I think is really cool. So like if it's yellow, it's basic, and if you're getting a different color, it's green, it's more complicated. So tell me how that came about.
All right, so you ready for this? Okay, here we go. Since you were a math guy, I'm going to really bring it together for you. All right, so a periodic table incorporates recurring trends.
Okay.
That's the sheer nature of what a periodic table is.
Yep.
It's a way of classifying, organizing, and all that. And we've all seen it, right? We look at this chemistry thing in school, and everyone's like, very few people know what it means. It's like this, it's in a different language. It's got elements and letters and numbers and all this stuff. So, but there are recurring trends in the game of basketball. And especially as it comes to like player development, there are certain skill sets you need to have. And when combined individually, they don't really mean much, but when you combine these skills together, they kind of synthesize and they create more compound, complex, advanced skill sets as we would see them on a basketball court. But in chemistry, they'd be molecules, right?
Right.
So the idea behind the periodic table is, as a coach, and this, you're always trying to come up with like a naming system for your stuff, right? Like you can't, anybody can run like if you're running a 2-3 zone, you're probably not going to call it 23. But at the same time, you got to have a name for what the 2-3 zone is, so everybody knows, or you can use sign language or however you communicate that. So we're trying to create systems all the time as coaches for plays. For you can have 62 different plays, or you can have one play with 62 variations, and that's going to be a much better system for the players because they're going to recognize the pattern recognition. And they're going to execute those plays more systematically and efficiently. So the long and the short of it is the periodic table and the naming system and coming up with a system for player development. And the game of basketball has really never had one, because I look at, like, you know, there's this fragmented network of random basketball stuff. There's a bunch of YouTube stuff. There's a bunch of these guys and this guy's doing this, and this guy's dribbling 40 tennis balls over here and throwing balls at cones, and this guy's dribbling around, and there's a garbage can and he's doing spin moves with no, like, you know, it's all this random stuff.
Right.
Not,
And you know what I call it? So it's what I think is really unique is you guys have kind of really, you've done it for the individual player. You've done it for the coach. I run teachhoops.com, which is me trying to get all the noise for coaches who are trying to figure out how to run a 2-3 zone, how to run a 1-2-2, how to run a motion.
Right.
Offense.
You're distilling it out.
I'm trying to, because as a coach that's won a lot, have coached guys all the way from the NBA to the collegiate level, all that stuff. I'm always trying to learn, and there is so much stuff that makes my head hurt.
Yeah.
It's all this noise. I call it noise. You've done a really good job of narrowing that noise for players that want to get, or coaches that want to work on their ball handling, want to work on their two-ball work, whatever. It's so nice that it's in one spot that I think that's what I saw. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, like, the framework of it, and like you said, you click on an element, you pick a skills, you decide if that's appropriate. And, you know, one thing and I'm going to write a blog post on this, but and just how it parallels, you know, we think about basketball like being in the zone, you know, like you know, players in the zone, right?
Right.
But as coaches, I think that there's another zone. And that's like the zone of this proximal development, right? Like sometimes we have, like Ruthie was saying, you got a team of fourth graders, and you got a guy coaching them like he's a college coach, running, calling out plays, and the kids can't even dribble, you know? So it's like, are we in that zone of like proximal development for that particular group of kids or that kid? And I think that was the, you know, is trying to identify, like, yeah, we need to, for you know, deliberate practice and muscle memory in the game of basketball. We can challenge kids, but we also have to give them stuff that they can handle. Right. You know, and the good thing is that, you know, kids can get better a lot faster if the right stuff is put in front of them. And I've just seen kids that are 11 years old do like 2-ball high-low and change the direction between the leg, like, and doing it amazingly, like, well, like, you know, they're still 80 pounds, but they're learning the game from a technical side to be able, when they do grow and to become that 6'2", you know, 185 pound. Yeah, they can actually play basketball, and that kid's going to be looked at, and that kid's, you know, going to go somewhere to play. And anyway, so I just feel like it allows you to kind of finagle between the most advanced stuff that real high level kids should be doing to the most basic, just, you know, how to jump off the correct foot when you finish on a reverse layup, you know, just that kind of stuff. But it's all progression and assessment based. Like, it's progression, like week 1, week 2, week 3.
Right. And it's so funny that, you know, again, us all coming together, you're thinking, you came up with this, I came up, and what I'm in the process of doing right now, I came up with a roadmap. I thought of it the same way, that you got to go down the right road. There's a coach that's coaching the 4th grade team. Here's what you need to do. Everybody has a different road. So it's funny how you're thinking periodic table and the progression. And I was thinking like a roadmap. Yeah, like here's how it's going to work, and what road do you need to walk down? Because you're a 4th grade coach in Wyoming, you're going to be different than the person that's coaching, you know, a high elite college or high school team. Yeah, you're going to be in 2 different roads.
Exactly, and even when I see this stuff, like we're doing a youth development. I see these posts and or these, you know, they're marketing efforts to get people to go to a coach's clinic.
Right.
And it's like, we're doing a youth coaching development clinic. Who's going to be there? Well, John Calipari. Or like, I know you want to get people there, but when's the last time John Calipari's worked with a 12-year-old? like right. You know, it's like, it just doesn't fit. And I get it. You want people to show up, but youth development is not college basketball. It's not. No. Not. And I know I just would love to see youth development where we actually take a group of 12-year-olds and
Right.
just put them out on the floor and say, okay, this is how you would, so I have my own feelings about what we're doing at the youth level that just doesn't necessarily translate to a better holistic game to watch 5
Right.
players or 12 players play
And I don't think it
basketball.
does either. So explain to people how this would work if they wanted to get this at skilldevelopmentcoach.com. So tell levels. I don't know. I again, disclaimer, I went through it very quickly. I know there's different levels for people and things like that. Explain that, how that would work. So a dad that's listening, or somebody that's a coach that's listening, or maybe even a player that's listening.
Individual players can they get their membership. It's as low as we could possibly make it. It's $14.95 a month. And then the coaches packages come from ranges of 12 players to, we have entire varsity freshman JV, like 36 player memberships, to program memberships, to AAU teams with 200 players. We have all those scenarios, but coaches can get their memberships, and it just allows you to access the content. The team membership allows you to access the content and be able to customize and assign. So that's that third layer. As a team, you can send your practice plan to the kids so they know what's going to be, coming Tuesday night versus, showing up and not knowing what they're going to be practicing that night. And then you can customize the individual skills with the team membership. So that's kind of how we layered it in. It's individuals. It can be self-monitored by an individual who just loves basketball. Or it can be a coach who just wants access to the content. Or if you want to integrate it with your team, you can do that.
Okay. And how have people found it? Like, do you have a blog? Do you have anything else that would be,
it's
how
funny.
did people find it other than this
really
podcast?
Funny. Like we did no marketing. I mean, in the beginning, we just started and we're just like, hey, let me know what you think of this. And and then coaches started to share it, we were starting to get calls from people, and they really appreciate, which I felt was really nice. We just organically started to grow. And, now we just post videos and put stuff on Facebook, and, we haven't had a marketing budget of some, trying to, we're just like, hey, this is what I want to create to help the game. And if people appreciate it and really, I mean, the one thing I can say is the content is unlike anything you'll probably ever see, other than maybe at the NBA level. I mean, for youth development, and skill development, I don't think there's anything, along the lines of the concepts or the videos or the qualities there. So, but anyways, we just put it out there and people started to share it. So we just created
It's amazing how that works. And this is a side note. So how long did it take you to get all the content? I know how long it took me to do mine.
I mean, a couple of years.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, we're talking, oh man, I mean, it just, about a couple of years for the content, but we also tested the programming before we ever did it. So that was the cool thing. We actually did a grassroots dry run with about 500 kids. And we just decided to take, different levels of kids and test what we thought was going to be the best. And then we would get their feedback and say, well, what's an advanced number on that? Or how can you do on this? Or how do you think this should come before that? And it just, so it got players' feedback on it before we actually just threw stuff together, So a couple of years of just testing
I bet.
Determining what progression would be next and how we would keep going. So anyways.
So that's hard. What about you, Ruthie? What do you have to say about it?
I think it's awesome. Sometimes when I'm in his presence, man, I'm in the presence of a genius. But
I'm just a basketball junkie with too much time on my hands.
Exactly. I was like, man, it's like a perfectionist. That's an understatement. But I think it's awesome. Obviously it's a reflection of his commitment to improving and trying to make the experience better. And to me, I applaud him for it. And he that's why I told him once I'm in it, whatever he needs me to do, I'm just trying to help spread the word, because I think it is something amazing, and the person and the mind behind it, someone that's passionate and someone truly doing it for the right reason. So I'm thankful to have met him. So it's awesome.
And you know what? I always say that if you solve a problem, people will flock toward it. You don't need to market it. If the first DVR, people wanted to take their shows. It solved a problem.
Yeah, right.
The iPhone solved the problem. This is in my opinion. And again, I'm going to play with it over the next week or so. But from the quickly look, it solves a problem. I mean, I can see it that it's going to break down ball handling. And the thing is, you're going to skip some of these if people grab it and look at the website skilldevelopmentcoach.com. Some of these you're going to skip. You're not going to do all the ball handling things. It looks a little overwhelming when you first look at it. But you're not going to maybe do some of the 2-ball work, or you're going to skip down and get to the the green level where it's more complicated. Or so I think it's a work in progress kind of thing, which I think is what makes it really unique.
Yeah, and I mean, it just gives a player a player development plan to be able to start here and go, and this is what's next, and this is what's next, and this is week 1, and this is week 2, and then at the same time, if a kid's progressing beyond it, move on to back to the basket series 4 and see if you can.
And if you finish them all, then contact these two, because that means you're really, really good.
What's that?
I said if they finish the periodic table.
Oh, you know what they say?
We say contact you.
Master the table, master the game. That's the way.
All right. So what I'll do is I'll get, for the people that are listening, because most people are either running or driving their car when they listen to these things. I will put it all in the show notes so they can find this stuff. And then I'll put contact stuff and Twitter accounts and all that stuff for you two down there so they can get a hold of you. So we're at the point where I'm going to do my rapid fire.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ladies first, and I'm going to ask you a question, and you're just going to give me a quick answer. You're not going to take an hour and a half to think about it. It's going to be really quick. Okay? All right, here we go, Ruthie. We'll start with you. Favorite basketball?
Wilson.
All right.
The old Spalding. They don't make them anymore.
All right. One word to describe your ideal player.
Resilient.
I was going to say tough.
Okay. If you could go to one sporting event in the entire world, what would it be?
Track and field.
Oh, man. Jeez. All right. So I'm just going to say the national championship game, because I always get invited every year and I never go.
Go.
So
Okay.
I'm going to make it my thing. I never go. For some reason, I just never go.
All right. Favorite pregame meal?
Boiled eggs.
Ooh. Raw egg. Okay.
No, boiled eggs. I like eggs.
Boiled egg.
Hard-boiled eggs?
Hard-boiled eggs.
Actually, boiled or raw. I like eggs that digest well. So boiled or eggs, I just like eggs. It's just a good meal for me.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna say the same. Eggs. Hard-boiled eggs.
All right. One thing you do to relax.
Work.
I'm gonna say. What do I do? I don't do much to relax, do I, Ruthie?
You're a vampire.
I have no answer.
Okay.
No answer.
All right. Best player you've seen in person.
Best
basketball player you've seen.
Michael Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw Michael Jordan when I was 13 at Madison.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm probably going to know the answer to the next one. Best player of all time.
Michael Jordan / Kobe.
Ooh.
Oh, my God. You stole my answer.
Okay. All right. One thing, we already talked about that. I was going to go about the coaching. Best game you have seen in person.
Mississippi game when they beat Connecticut.
I've seen a few good ones. I'll tell you what. Providence is a regular season game. They came back down 11 with 53 seconds to win. That was exciting.
Oh, my God. 53.
It was a regular season game.
Oh, my God. All right. One word to describe your coaching style.
Laid back. 2 words.
That's all right. We'll count that as one.
All right. I'm gonna say I'm hoping I'm a teacher of the game. I'm hoping that
teacher. I like that one.
That's not one word though.
That's all right. One book you would recommend.
Purpose-Driven Life.
And what's that about?
Rick Warren is a book about it. It's a great book about your life and finding your purpose in Yeah, it's similar to the book of what am I on here? What am I on this earth for? But it's a spiritual book, but it doesn't really necessarily beat you across the head with the Bible. It's sort of a defining your purpose, and when you read that book, you're gonna feel like you can fly.
Okay,
So
say the book again.
Purpose-Driven Life, Rick Warren.
Rick Warren. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put that in the show notes. Perfect.
I read a book called Letters to My Son when I was about 18. I thought it was really good. It was by a father who had written a book to his son. It was really good. I can't remember the name of the author, but that was
all right. I'll find that out. All right, and the last one is one thing you would tell a young player.
Seize the moment. You would never get this back again. You would never get this day. The day is April the 18th, 2017. Seize the moment. Leave everything, whether you're playing, whatever it is. You won't get this day back, so make the best of it.
That's a hard one to follow. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that one of the best compliments anybody can give you is that you play hard all the time. And, that I always recognize those players that play hard all the time. So that would be one thing I would tell players.
I think that's a great one to end on. Well, thank you to you two for coming on, and
thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, Coach, hope you enjoyed that. If you did, okay, go join teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. You want to become a better basketball coach. Let me help you. Where else can you find a mentor for, a dinner at McDonald's, basically? Let me help you. Not only resources and communities and handouts and one-on-one calls and office hours. It's got a little bit of everything that will help you become a better basketball coach. Also, go over, subscribe and leave a review. And if you're going to do any shopping on Amazon, click down below. We would appreciate it. All right. Have a great
Thumbtack presents Tile Trouble. Every single time I use my sink, I make eye contact with the uneven grout on my kitchen backsplash. The crooked corners eye me, and I'm haunted by more tiling questions than I thought possible. What kind of pro can fix a backsplash? Can I replace one cracked tile, or should I replace them all? What if I just use Thumbtack? I can hire top-rated pros, read reviews, and compare prices with a tap, all on the app. Thumbtack knows homes. Download the app today.